In this video, I simply want to look at the advantages and disadvantages of using absolutist ethical systems such as Kantian ethics and relativist ethical systems such as utilitarianism. Now, on my blog, I have a table which clearly outlines advantages and disadvantages. So the purpose of this video is merely for me to just talk through them. If I start talking about some of the disadvantages and the advantages as a means of evaluating, then you should not find that to be confusing, because you can just look at my blog for the table. So now that that's clear, we can go through some of the advantages and disadvantages. So if we start by looking at absolutist theories like Kant, natural law, and some forms of Christian ethics such as following the Ten Commandments, the Decalogue, why do people use them? Why do people like them? Well, simply, they're clear. They provide clear-cut answers. There is one statement, this is correct, this is incorrect. You follow it in all situations. Easy to follow. It's clear. It's objective, so people can critically evaluate, is this theory actually for me? Because you just see it and it's so easy. You have one law, whereas if you're trying to evaluate a relativist system, it's so difficult because you can't say that, oh, they say this and this may be incorrect, which may be actually an advantage for relativist theory. Who knows? And also, everyone is treated equally. I am no more important than you, so why should I be allowed to commit murder when you're not allowed to commit murder? We're equal, therefore an absolutist theory provides us to be treated equally. I have the same rules and regulations as you, because it's the same universal moral law, principle in which moral laws can be derived. It's the same thing. And because we know that this universal law is correct, it will promote us to do the right action, and there's no need for us to debate what's correct, what's not, when we know it's universal, when we know it's for everyone, and when we know it's correct. And we don't need to worry about things like the principle of double effect, which you'll see when you examine natural law. That in natural law, even though it's absolutist, in some situations it says that you need to look to the consequences, because you need to see what's the greater of two evils. Now, in absolutist theories, you don't follow consequences because you follow rules. You can't follow consequences and rules, you only follow rules. And simply because of that, you don't need to look at consequences, and there's less chance of there being any confusion or any sort of problem like that. However, there are many disadvantages with absolutist theories such as Kantian ethics. For example, every situation is not the same. To say do not abort or abortion is incorrect. Can we compare a 12-year-old girl who got raped who wants to have abortion to a 30-year-old woman who just wants to have abortion in order to continue her career path and calls it a mistake? Can we compare two situations? I don't think so, and it's highly unlikely that the two people feel the same and react to the same situation in the same way. And what happens that when your absolutist rule can lead to evil? For example, if there is the universal law, do not lie, for instance, and what if somebody is looking with the axe to kill someone and they ask you where have they gone? You know where they've gone, and if you lie, then you save their life, you're protecting them. But if you don't lie, then basically they die. So what do? It's very confusing because you have two moral principles and they basically conflict. Now, Kant provided a very interesting answer to this. He said when two duties conflict, all it means is one duty is not a real duty. Strange, but that's what he says. But still, it creates a lot of problem. It's not exactly as clear cut as we first thought. It's hard to be objective, and it's hard to be not affected by social and cultural factors when a problem hits us. It's very hard not to have this happen to us, because we're humans after all. We have emotions, and this is how we deal with things. So it's very difficult. So that's what some people say. It's actually pointless. It doesn't really work because of that. On ethical issues such as new technology, it isn't as clear-cut what to do. Like with something like IVF, which is fairly new, it doesn't exactly give us a clear answer. For example, in the Bible it says, be fruitful and multiply, and that's why natural law says, oh, you should not masturbate, you should not do X, Y, Z, not use contraception. But when you do IVF, you have to do some of these things. So what's worse, not being fruitful or masturbating? It doesn't provide a clear example or a clear-cut rule here again. And if you believe life and happiness is the most important part of life, then how can absolutism take this into account? For example, you could be dying in pain in an hospital, but euthanasia is banned, so you cannot be freed. But if life and happiness is important, surely you should be allowed to euthanize. So here, basically, the main issue going on with absolutists, we can see, is the fact that even though it's clear, not in all situations it's clear, and the situations where it's not clear, it's really not clear, unlike relativist theories. See, now the positives of relativist theory is that it allows you to be tolerant towards other people's cultures and values and respect one another, which is important for today's society. It is realistic because life is not black or white, it's grey. So you need to apply yourself to these grey situations, not just black or white. The ethical system is also open towards atheists and agnostics. Obviously, that's the benefit because everyone can use, for example, utilitarianism. Not everyone can use or believe natural law. An absolutist ethical law has never been proven. It has never been proven that a universal principle exists. Moral laws can be derived. None of this is proven. It's just created by someone. So how can it exist? Should we really follow it if there's no proof for it? They believe that right or wrong is nothing but a reflection of our emotions, and if our emotions vary from situation to situation, then surely what we do, what we should do, what's good and bad varies also from situation to situation. It seems more realistic. We can't understand what they're talking about. There's less disadvantages for relativist theories, so let's go through them. Now, sometimes it's very ambiguous. So whereas in absolutists it's very clear cut in some situations, in those situations it's not as clear cut in relativist theories. There can be more of an incentive to act in a moral way. For example, if you believe that killing someone is the right thing to do, then in theory no one can stop you because you thought it was right in that situation. And if it produces the greatest pleasure for the greatest number, then no one can stop you. And then should the legal system actually exist on the basis of rules, or should it exist that in that situation did that produce the greatest pleasure for the greatest good, and did you use a hedonic calculus to create to formulate whether it's actually the right thing the person did or the wrong thing? So already discussed about laws being invalid. Simply by believing or thinking something is correct, it doesn't make it correct. You need something other than that. But then using laws, which are like universal principles that absolutists believe in, that can't be proved. So you're kind of stuck. They both are equally as valid, so it's up to you basically in the end which one you pick. Furthermore, it is inconsistent to say that the same practice is considered right in one society and considered wrong in another. I mean, if murder is considered, no, let's say this, if extramarital relationships are considered fine in one culture, but they're not considered fine in another. Because both cultures have equal weighting, it's hard to say who is right, who's not, and this can create disputes. So as well as relativists being very open and tolerant, it can create disputes as in which relativist theory is actually right, because that's just what they believe. Anyway, I hope this video helps, and please see the table on my blog. Thank you.